Camille Salazar Hadaway, and I'm joined with the one, the only, Mr. Nick Andrade. Hi, Nick.
Wow, what an entrance. I can always tell if we're friends or enemies on the episodes, depending on how you introduce me. So today we're friends.
What? When are we enemies?
When I say something like a bad take before the show, and then you're just upset about it. You're just like, this idiot. How does he think that Tears of the Kingdom is poo-poo?
Oh my God, I can't believe you even said that as an example.
I'm kidding. I don't.
Oh, don't put it out there. Let me just do that intro again. And this is Nick. How about that? After that bad take. On this episode, we dive deeper into Rapture in Bioshock. And on our last episode,
you'll find your path to Ryan is now clear. Tell him Sandra said hello. Oh, yes. You may avail yourself on one of my lesser works as a token of our time together. If you had become my one and true disciple, you might have been worthy of seeing inside the box of my most private news. But who knows if that man is yet even born. Now, go.
What happened to you? I've been trying to raise you for a dog's age. Never mind. Would you kindly leg it over to the sphere and get on down to Hephaestus? It's time to settle up with Ryan.
So we were sent to do Atlas's bidding. No surprise there. And he was full steam ahead on the path of vengeance. And we went to Fort Frolic, where we met Sander Cohen, a guy who loves theatrics, and he was very entertaining, a failed actor who wanted to put us to the test to kill people in Rapture that did him wrong. Only to find out that they actually didn't do him wrong and were horrible, senseless murderers.
They just slighted him in a way. And they didn't really do anything wrong.
They didn't wrong him. He was just a little sensitive.
A little?
We wronged everyone, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Cohen was insane, obviously, no surprise there. And we ended up passing his test only to be left with what we need to get to Ryan. And that's how the chapters end. We also learned a little side piece of information that the Little Sisters have Andrew Ryan's DNA and possibly Fontaine's. So we're learning a little bit more on who makes up Rapture and all the people in it. Oh my God, that sounded gross. But anyways, Nick.
Yes.
Question of the day. We've been through Rapture. We've experienced Bioshock. It's time to cast the movie for Phase 1 Bioshock. Who are you casting in the role of Jack?
Oh, man. Damn. You know, I'm hoping to see Chris Evans more in movies. So I'm going to pick Chris Evans.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's actually a really good. Oh my God, I'm jelly of your choice. That's a good one. My choice for Jack is the other Jack from Titanic. I was saying Leonardo DiCaprio. I think you need someone because, like, one of the things that we keep talking about with Jack is, like, why is he just doing this? Like, doesn't he want to go home and, like, leave? And for me, that's been a hard thing coming into this game is, like, finding Jack interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like you would need a really good quality actor that could do the work, study Jack, and then also bring their own flair to it. And I think Leo could do it.
I agree. I like that. I like that idea.
Now we have two villains, enemies. They're enemies. Frenemies? We have the two that appear on the cover art for the game, Big Daddy and Little Sister. Who are you casting in these two roles?
Well, judging by that you never see who the Big Daddies are and they don't say anything, I'm going to go with Pedro Pascal as the Big Daddy because he has experience as the Mandalorian where he barely says anything and just walks around. And Little Sister, well, I don't know any like child actors. So realistically, any child actor would work.
Just any child actor. Yeah. Pedro Pascal's a really good one. I was actually going to say Vin Diesel.
That's a good one.
I mean, he does Groot really well. And like, honestly, the Big Daddies just groan and like make noises. So I was like, Vin Diesel. Let's keep it in the family.
The voice would be really good for that. Or it could be like the one guy who played the Mountain in Game of Thrones, that really big guy, or the guy who plays Chewbacca now, who's like 7 foot tall.
That's a good one. I like Vin Diesel more. So for the little sister, I'm going to actually pull an actress from their past work. I'm going with Dakota Fanning as a kid.
Stop it. I knew you were going to say that. Listen, she's like 30 years old now. She's not a kid actor anymore. They
could do like some CGI and just generate her younger self, and then she'll just do the voice again. But honestly, wouldn't a younger Dakota Fanning like be perfect for the little sister?
Sure, but you could just literally hire any child actor.
You know how she always has her bangs and ponytail?
Yes.
Signature little sister right there.
No, it'll be creepy looking.
No, because you know what? She was really good as a child actor bringing those very dramatic scenes. What's more dramatic than harvesting a little sister? You need a really, really good child actor.
Yeah, but she's 30 years old, okay?
Hey, you know what? It could be, we don't even know about Rapture, so it could bring the power of timelessness in here and like just bring back younger Dakota Fanning for this. Who are you casting as Atlas and Andrew Ryan?
Ooh, so Atlas, I'm going to go with Barry Keoghan. He was in Eternals, and he was also the Joker in the new Batman movie.
Ooh,
that you don't see him.
That's a good... Well, you see him.
Ish.
Yeah, ish. But that's actually a really good one.
And then for Andrew Ryan, my key for a villain is always Gary Oldman. I mean, Gary Oldman would be good.
Gary Oldman as Andrew Ryan?
Yes.
What?
He's been so many villains in his lifetime. He would be great at that.
Nick, Gary Oldman?
Well, I picked Vincent Price. You know what? Let's say because I'm sure that they modeled him after Vincent Price. We'll bring him back from the dead and CGI him too, just like Dakota Fanning.
Fine. Okay, I'll give you that.
Thank you. Okay, you'd rather me have a dead Vincent Price acting.
Okay, for me, for Andrew Ryan, this is the perfect cast. Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, that'd be great, actually.
Like, he has that same, like, you know, that slick back. If you just put a pointy mustache on him, he's Andrew Ryan right there.
Right.
And okay, for Atlas, remember, we don't really see Atlas, okay? Or we think we see him.
Well, we just see his picture, so you could base it on that.
Okay. Like you said, an Irishman. Colin Farrell.
There you go. I was going to pick him too.
I mean, he's so basic though. Like, yes. I feel like that's everyone's Irishman. It's Colin Farrell.
That'd be fine. I think he still would kill it. And, you know, he was a Penguin recently, so you can see kind of his diverse acting ability. So I think he could do that really well. And he's Irish, so he doesn't even have to fake an accent.
I know. Or I would say Leo. By a recast Leo. Leo versus Leo.
Okay.
Nick has enough of my casting ideas.
2 Leos, even though they're basically like friends and they're the same person.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll go over well.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Well, that's our fan cast, Bioshock Phase 1. Now it's time to move on into Hephaestus. Hephaestus, is it called?
It sounds like it's just like asbestos. But asbestos.
Well, and that's why I'm saying it sounds like a sport, like something that.
Cough.
Yeah.
Asbestos.
Asbestos. So we're heading there because we need to find Andrew Ryan. Are we getting closer? Well, we're going to have to find out. And will we deliver Atlas's vengeance on him? Again, we need to find out. But let's find out right after this break, right here on AutoSave.
Time to either run the table or go home empty. Ryan's got the genetic key to Rapture. We get that from him and we get out of this hellhole. We don't, then you and I are ghosts. Now would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch? It's time to finish this.
I say Cohen's lost his touch, if you knew him well. When he used to believe in the work, in the struggle. rots in that Neverland, waiting for someone to come and tell him he still got it. I suppose that's why he let you live.
All right, so we arrive in Bathysphere Station, and the music, like, just amps the ante. Like, I really feel like now we're getting into that moment of, like, confrontation. I'm hoping we're going to get it in this episode, and I think we will. And it's quite obvious that Atlas has only one thing on his mind: Andrew Ryan's corpse. They're not holding back at all, and I love that it's just all out. And as soon as you start this chapter, you hear multiple times from both Andrew Ryan and Atlas, because usually we hear like from one, we hear from the other, the break, but like it's like back and forth conversation, so you know that it's like getting to that moment of confrontation. I'm
getting real annoyed at Atlas because, again, he's like, get the genetic key. Also, why is it called a genetic key to get out of there?
Yeah,
sounds weird.
How I took it is like only Andrew Ryan could leave, so like he has a coded key like to his genetics.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I thought it was like something else maybe Atlas was trying to ploy. But again, it's just like, we're ghosts if you don't do this. Okay, man, like, why aren't you helping me? Like, where are you? You're just on a radio all the time telling us what you want being done, but like, you're not helping us whatsoever. So I'm frustrated with that. And then with Andrew Ryan, when we heard him there, I feel bad for Sander Cohen because I killed him in the last episode when he let us go so I could get a bigger prize.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did.
And then he kind of talks about how Sander was just looking for validation. And that's why he let us go, because I guess he found it in us. Now I feel really bad.
Murderer! Again, those people that we murdered for Sander Cohen and now for Sander Cohen was just trying to get validation really proves that Nick as Jack is a horrible person. Anyways.
I've saved all the little sisters, okay?
All right. Whatever you need to say in order to make yourself feel better. Save the little kids, kill all the people. I get it.
Yep.
Now, as we walk through, we know Andrew Ryan. He's very paranoid. Thinks everyone's trying to find him. Thinks you're Jack is the government. For a guy who does not want to be found, he has his name on everything. The amount of signs that say Andrew Ryan's office this way. Like, I was like, this is weird. This is like, I feel like we're walking into a trap. It's a trap.
I think it makes sense in the like beginning of Rapture, probably, where it's like, this is where the leader, Andrew Ryan, is.
How many signs do you need? There's a sign literally when you get to the station. All throughout this whole episode, we are looking at signs throughout this chapter, these two chapters. So it's like, I don't get it.
And everything's lit up bright in like neon lights. So it's easy to find.
It is so bright in neon lights. So, I mean, he's making it very easy for people to find him. If we were the feds, we'd just arrest him right away because we know exactly where he is.
Yes.
But keep following the obvious arrows to Andrew Ryan's place. And he has corpses greeting us in the halls of his office.
The worm looks up and sees the face of God. But look around. It's a regular convention of worms in here. They all had mothers, fathers, people who loved them. They got married, fucked their wives. What makes you think you're any different? I haven't chosen the spot for you on the wall yet. Let me know if you have a preference.
So we keep hearing from Andrew Ryan like throughout our time in Rapture, but this is the first time for me at least where he is really owning being the villain. Like what he's saying is actually menacing. I'm actually shaking in Jack's boots to meet Andrew Ryan because he has a spot for me on this wall. Like now it's just getting more gruesome, where I think before he was so focused on like the politics and like what he thinks is right. So like I understood his psyche as a villain, but I wasn't necessarily afraid of him. Now I'm getting a little bit afraid of him.
Yeah, how is he basically impaling these people on the walls? Pretty creepy, but it makes me think, does he have superpowers or something?
Yeah.
We see his picture frame, like he looks like an old-timey John Waters / Vincent Price. So he doesn't look that menacing apart from his mustache, I guess. Just makes me think that, again, maybe he is super spliced out.
Yeah. Either super spliced out. Now I'm picturing him being like super jacked as well.
He's been working out in his office while locked in there.
He always seemed like that villain to have everyone else do his evil bidding. But we're seeing him take on more of a hands-on. And I think that's what's making me a little anxious to see him. What also is helping with the anxiety in these moments is the music. I mentioned it before, but the like the random, like high-pitch violin coming in. It's really scaring me. I'm scared.
Yeah, it is menacing, and it like accentuates when the wrong time comes. So you just get scared because it goes...
When we continue through the station, we actually hear from Anya Under's daughter, and she lets us know that we have to create an overload in the harmonic core, number 3, in order to get to Ryan's office because we are locked out. Like, we can't actually get into the office. This is, again, another reminder. Ryan has made a lot of enemies in Rapture. So we hear from a few people throughout this chapter that we're just trying to kill him. No surprise there. We also get a clue that in the heat loss monitoring area, we get something there that will help cause the overload. So we're getting like these little cues here from these recordings that we find. And then we also hear a lot of propaganda from Andrew Ryan and the woman's voice. Do we even know who the woman is that we hear often on the intercom?
Is it the intercom or is it like one of those tapes?
Oh, maybe it's a tape.
This mission is confusing because we don't get any direction from Atlas here, which is typical. But clearly we have to get into Andrew Ryan's office, and then we kind of find and put together through these tapes, I believe. Or maybe it is Anya talking to us saying, this is how we do XYZ. Mm-hmm. So a little lost, but I understand what the point is. There's another layer to get to Ryan. We can't just get to Ryan, which is frustrating.
I know, because it's like, what was the point of Nick killing Sandra Cohen?
Everything that led to it too, like the grandiose that we see in this, beautiful area.
Did you just call the hall with the corpses beautiful?
Yes, there's corpses there, but I'm not talking about the corpses. I'm talking about the giant arches and the giant ceilings.
Nick, I think Rapture changed you.
Yeah. I'm not a good person anymore.
But yeah, it is very grand.
We got to the point now where we deserve to just walk to Ryan's office, but nope.
We earned our keep with Cohen, but apparently not with Ryan. We still have to do a little bit more. And yeah, I guess it is like these recordings we find. But like as you're walking through the hallways, you're hearing Andrew Ryan talk about that Rapture is on the rise, and then you hear the woman's voice recording. I don't even know if it's Anya on that recording, like, Rapture's on the rise. Or maybe it's just Andrew Ryan and he's disguising himself as like a woman's voice, which I mean, he would probably do that because he wants people to come on board with his ideas. So he needs to make it look like other people believe in it. Now, when he talks about Rapture being on the rise, does this mean like all of this was planned ahead of time? Like all of the splicers for this insanity, this chaos, like was necessary evil in order to get to the next stage, the evolution of Rapture?
I don't think so. I think this is something that has come to be and that Andrew Ryan has just let it happen. He doesn't strike me as the type of person who's scheming this crazy plan that doesn't seem like it's working. I don't know. I think it's just like he's trying to protect himself from Atlas and whoever else, Fontaine or whoever else has blown up in front of him. But
okay,
I don't think this is a plan.
He's not a planner. He's a let's seer.
No, he's a planner. I think he's just letting be.
Okay. He's just letting it be. And then probably taking lots of notes on the side of like what's interesting and what's not.
I mean, that's why he's locked up, right? Makes sense. He's hiding from everybody.
Probably has like a bunch of screens in his office just watching everything.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
Crazy.
Yes.
So you get to the core and there are a lot of splicers and a couple of big daddies that will keep you on your toes. You can take them out, continue through. And there is also a lot to collect in this area. Like Nick was saying, there's not a lot of direction. So it is up to you to kind of explore. You're going to get some power-ups. You're going to You're going to get lots of cigarettes. There were lots of cigarettes lying around. But yeah, so you'll find a lot of things. Just explore until you get to the security camera, and you could hack it or you could take it out. I suggest hacking it. So then it helps security bots get to you if you're being attacked by a bunch of splicers. Now there's a lower walkway in this area where you could find a weapon upgrade station as well. So if you want to use that, go right ahead. Now, as you make your way to the upper workshops, you see another Big Daddy and Little Sister. You can lure them to the security camera. And I don't know if you've gotten this elaborate with your Big Daddy kills, but you could actually lure them to the security camera and then security bots will just come and then take them out.
No, that seems way too extra.
I mean, it's like some people like to go to the extra mile. I know Rapture has changed you, Nick. I'm not too sure if this is the type of thing you're into now, okay?
Just use a shotgun. Shotgun to the face.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's just at this point, it's pretty easy now. We've dealt with a few of them before, so yeah, it's pretty easy peasy at this point. There's also a crackable safe in this area too, so you could go ahead and go do that. And then you continue to the lower workshops. We hear from Pablo Navarro, which made me think of the Mandalorian because of Navarro. But anyways, that's neither here or there. But he tells us he knows that Big Daddies burn through their suits if they're not properly maintained. And we also hear that through this diary that he actually is fighting off Atlas's forces, because obviously he's working with Andrew Ryan. Mm-hmm. That means this fight between Andrew Ryan and Atlas is actually pretty big for Pablo to be kind of held up trying to maintain these Big Daddies, which I never even thought you would have to do. And then also hold off forces and like just having his men die left or right. Like I'm getting now a real, this is war times a feel.
Someone mentioned at least that this is a war.
Yes.
Which I never really put into perspective before. I thought this was just like, not two men power struggling, but I just thought it was like behind the scenes kind of.
Exactly.
I didn't realize this was like an upfront all out war.
Yeah. It's visuals of like what it is to be in this war. And I think this is all leading to hopefully a point where we finally get to see Andrew Ryan and get to be a part of the war ourselves. Now, we hear more threats from Andrew Ryan. He's not joking at all and still pretty menacing. And after you explore some more, you'll hear from Pablo again. That tells us that Anya, and I guess Anya was trying to like seduce him or something to get information on how to get to Andrew Ryan. So he directs her to Kaisberg's workshop. So that's where we know we have to go. This is like the first bit of direction in a really long time that you get.
Yes.
And when you get there, you'll encounter a Big Daddy security turret. So be careful. And you walk through to find a hidden door in his office. Just go through there.
The basic casing is ready. I've got one charge of nitroglycerin in my office. That will serve as the catalyst. Now, I need a 4R34 lead shield wire studs to pass the circuit. Then a half can of ionic gel, that's the pretty Betty of the mix. Should send the core into compensation mode, push power down the line and trigger the circuit breaker on Ryan's gate. Well, that's the theory. It'll either work like a charm, or blow up half of Rapture. Nothing ventured.
Okay, so now, like, this is the point where when we find this audio diary, I'm like, okay, like, I know where we gotta get something to get to Andrew Ryan, but I don't know what. We know what now. We're assembling an EMP bomb to kind of shut down all the circuits that are locking Andrew Ryan into his office. And I'm just like, this is a lot of work. I quit. Like, I don't even want to. I don't want to do this. Like, this guy has that much security. If I have to do more than this, I'm going to be upset because I just want to see Andrew Ryan. So we have to actually finish Kaisberg's EMP bomb. And that's going to cause that overload that we heard before Anya talk about. So to do this, we actually have to find 3 remaining components and assemble them. The weird thing is, and this game has done this before because we've done fetch quests before, you could find this stuff beforehand and stumble across it.
Did you already collect these items?
No, I didn't collect all of them, but I stumbled across some of them.
Like, did it give you an option to collect it?
When you're, like, say for the Big Daddies, right?
Yeah.
You could actually click in and you're just kind of like, what is this for?
Right.
So it was confusing for me. I was confused.
At first, I thought we had to just unlock his door, basically. That's what I thought it was. I didn't realize it was an entire bomb that we had to build in order to get through here. So he has heavy security, this Andrew Ryan.
He does. And for those 3 components, so we need the R34 wires. You could actually find these because, as we heard Pablo talk about before, the Big Daddy suits kind of get broken down. So we know that the R34 wires actually have to do with the Big Daddy suits. You could only find them there. So if you go back to the core, you slay some Big Daddies. If you haven't, you could collect those wires. There's also another Big Daddy in the hall that's southwest of Ryan's office. For the 2-quarter cans of ionic gel, you could just find this around Hephaestus. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere. There's one that's at the highest platform. There's 2 machines that have light kind of beaming down on it. You'll find 2 there. And then right below that highest platform, near the little sister tunnel that they scurry away in, there's another ionic gel there as well. And then the nitroglycerin. This was the stupidest one because it's literally in Kyber's office. And I didn't realize that.
There's been a lot of things that we found in people's offices, though.
It makes sense. But it's like, when you're on that fetch quest, you're just like, I gotta go. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, wait, I should actually read the mission and read where to find these things.
Right.
So that's what I did. It's on the side. You'll see an intriguing switch. I think it's labeled when you go up to it. You pull that switch and you'll find the nitroglycerin. And then you assemble like the Avengers, the EMP bomb. Now, before you get to the bomb, if you explore more, you could find some more goodies. There's like the security evasion Teutonic in the lower heat loss monitoring system or area. And then also in that area, there's lots of lights that turn on and off. Did you go through the lower heat loss monitoring area?
Yes, but I didn't pay attention too much about what was going on. Not that I was overwhelmed with all the tasks we had to do, but I was increasingly impatient to get to Ryan.
Okay.
So I just wanted to like get all my items, build this bomb, and then blow Ryan up to smithereens.
And then just blow him up like a crazy person. I hear you. I was actually very distracted in this area because this is where the lights turn on and off. And as you're walking through, there's splicers on the floor or corpses. They're not corpses. They're actual splicers.
They're never. Whenever you think things are dead, they're probably not dead.
Yeah, they're not.
We saw at the beginning of the game a lady crying over a baby that was a gun. Okay, so
that's true.
Ever since then, I have not believed anything that I'm seeing.
Yeah, well, you get to leave that area, and now we get to assemble the bomb.
Is there blood on the streets? Of course. Have some chosen to destroy themselves with careless splicing on the Nile? But I will make no proclamation. I will dictate no laws. The great chain moves slowly, but with wisdom. It is our impatience that invites in the parasite of big government. And once you've invited it in, it will never stop feeding on the body of the city.
A man builds a city at the bottom of the sea. That's a marvel. Another man happens to be on a plane that crash lands on the same city in the middle of the ocean.
So again, we hear Ryan talk about the politics, anti-government stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, man. Like,
no, I thought this was interesting.
The first clip, I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, man. We've heard you talk about like anti-government and like, you know, disturbing things. But now, like, we get a little bit more information. I think he feels like it's like disturbing the natural flow of things or like people's intentions. I'm just tired of hearing about his wacky ideals of society and politics.
Really? This gave me more insight to kind of sympathize with him a little bit. I don't mean that in a way where I sympathize with what he's doing, but kind of making me understand everything that's going on. So basically, this whole thing that he's doing is based on his belief of no government involvement. So this is a super pro-capitalist by all means who, and we kind of seen this in the real world, where people, you know, are afraid of big government. And I guess something has happened to him while he was in America. And he decided to create this whole state based on those values. So understand now why this place is always in chaos, which is, again, his problem. Like he's basically created this society in a way where we can see that no involvement at all means chaos.
Yeah.
So he let everyone become splicers and do these things and trash this whole place for the love of individual freedom. So to me, it feels a little sad. That's why I sympathize.
Okay.
I sympathize with him that way, if that makes sense.
Fine. You could have your opinions. Mine is that I prefer the more menacing Andrew Ryan.
Do you prefer him to be one of those bad guys who have no backstory, or do you prefer?
No. Like, I like the backstory, but I don't need to keep being reminded of the backstory.
Sure. Yes.
Like, I love the other diaries where we're hearing from other people that follow Andrew Ryan and why they're doing it and how they believe in what he's doing. I love that. But like, Andrew Ryan, give it a rest, all right? Like, we get it already.
I thought it was clever. It was a little piece of information I kind of put together after I not really fully understand his intentions.
Okay, that's fair. I thought what was more interesting was the second thing we heard from Ryan, and that is hinting that Jack's landing wasn't by chance. Like, is that what he's saying? So then now I'm starting to think that he might have had a hand in why Jack is in Rapture in the first place. Is at this point, I'm just kind of like, is Jack like an ex-citizen of Rapture? Like, what if he escaped before, but somehow found himself back in?
I think you mentioned something like that a few episodes back.
Yes.
Kind of your theory of that, which kind of makes sense because, again, what are the odds that a plane crashes in the middle of the ocean where this city in the middle of the ocean is, which is what Andrew Ryan says.
Yeah.
And to me, it makes me think he probably has forgotten his life here.
Yeah.
And something was set up, whatever it was. And I don't think it was Ryan necessarily. I think you genuinely, because every time we've talked to him since the beginning, he always asked us who we were. I think he was trying to gather information on us.
True. Yeah, true.
So I don't know if he's a part of it, but when he heard that, I felt a little shiver down my spine because I'm like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah. And I think we've had a hard time with trying to really gain interest with Jack because we can't understand why Jack is doing what he's doing. So for me, like, is the other option that maybe he is a Fed that was sent to investigate Rapture. Maybe the plane was shot down or it crashed or something by the hands of Andrew Ryan. And then because of the crash, amnesia.
But the way Andrew Ryan says it makes me believe that he wasn't up to it.
Yeah, true. I don't know.
Is it a coincidence that you were here?
A coincidence?
So I don't know. But if he shot it down, I feel like his words would be a little different.
Yeah, that's true.
But shooting it down makes sense. I think that might have happened.
Well, I mean, like, this guy has the highest security just to get into his office. You're telling me he doesn't have security around Rapture to shoot things down if he needs to? If it's getting a little too close? Anyways, now it is time to go back and assemble the bomb. We have to put it in the core, and as you make your way back, you'll encounter a few splicers, thanks to Ryan. Also, as you reach the core / the control area, you'll see a few more turrets. I really suggest you hack them. I think that'll just help you out a little bit more. So it's really just building this anticipation for the boss fight, getting into Andrew Ryan's office and hopefully facing off with him. We need to actually, I guess, destroy the perimeter or make a perimeter because we know that splicers are going to come as we redirect this magma flow. Magma? Sure. Magma. I didn't get the explanation for this. I was like, where'd the magma come from? Like, I get that there's magma under the sea, but...
We have to, like, shut it off?
Yeah. We have to use the release valve. And, like, we have to hold it down, which leaves us pretty vulnerable to the splicers that are going to come in the room. So that's why you keep those turrets and then set yourself up good. Set a good perimeter. I feel like they were building this up like, oh, set a perimeter. And then there's, like, 6 splicers. And then you're done. Then you actually redirected the magma, and now we can head to the core.
So far away from your family, from your friends, from everything you ever loved. But for some reason, you like it here. feel something you can't quite put your finger on. Think about it for a second, and maybe the word will come to you. Nostalgia.
So we hear again from Andrew Ryan, and he's just getting more and more interesting. I want to hear from him now all the time because he's hinting that he knows more about Jack than we know about Jack. He uses this word nostalgia, and he says that Jack likes being in Rapture. So now I'm starting to think, okay, Jack was a former resident of Rapture, like he had to have been. And maybe there's something in, the plasmid that makes residents want to come back, because we keep questioning Nick, like over all of our episodes so far, who would want to live in Rapture, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's Rapture that makes you want to live in Rapture, like the plasmids using those slugs. That's what makes you want to stay. And like, is it that he tried to leave and then was lured back by like maybe that need to have that nostalgia, or maybe by Atlas? I don't know.
But how was he lured back if it was a plane crash?
I know, but maybe it was a staged plane. Like, I don't know. I'm just, at this point, I'm just like throwing spaghetti at the wall because I have no idea what's going on. All I'm pretty sure on is that Jack is a former resident of Rapture.
Yeah.
And somehow he got off Rapture and something brought him back.
Can I just mention this one picture that we always see in the screams?
Yeah.
Can they use another picture?
Of the parents?
They did 3 flashes of the photo and they just zoomed into the photo. Why couldn't they give us another photo?
I don't know.
It's always just of the family.
And it's the same photo of the parents.
Yeah, and the scream's always like,
Wah! Wah! Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. So he follows up by saying that our reward will be a knife in the back. This caught me because I was like, okay, well, usually when people say knife in the back, that's backstabbing. You're going to be crossed by someone. So is Andrew Ryan actually warning us that we're going to be backstabbed by Atlas potentially?
I looked at it as like a last-ditch effort for Andrew to say, hey, if you want to come on my side, here's your last chance, because Atlas is a piece of shit and you won't be able to trust him.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, it's time to overload the core and Splicer's security bots. Everything is attacking you once you head to Ryan's office to turn off the circuit. We then do that and we head through Rapture Central Control Room. This is the moment we've been waiting for to continue through event. And then you see a wall full of pictures with the word written in blood, I guess, saying, would you kindly? I'm trying to remember who was in the pictures, but we see like pretty much all the main characters.
It's Tannenbaum, Atlas. Yeah, a bunch of people. And
it's like doing the whole mystery to be solved thing. So is this Andrew Ryan doing this? Why is he trying to make the connections? I don't know.
This is what it all made sense to me now is, as Ryan was talking to us, I feel like he had put all the pieces together.
Like of who we are?
Because he was trying to figure out who Jack was. Because at the beginning he asked us, are we an FBI agent, who we are? And then he starts to see what's going on. And then he starts putting the pieces together. And then he's telling us now that there's something going on. So it was realizing this, like listening to Ryan kind of figure this out. I was very uncomfortable in all these situations because I wasn't sure what to expect here.
I was uncomfortable because I just thought this was creepy and I knew we were going into a boss battle to see Andrew Ryan. So I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And speaking of Andrew Ryan, well, we finally see him.
You think you have memories. A farm, a family, an airplane, a crash, and then this place. Was there really a family? Did that airplane crash, or was it hijacked? Forced down by something less than a man, something bred to sleepwalk through life until they are activated by a simple phrase spoken by their kindly master. Was a man sent to kill, or a slave? A man chooses. A slave obeys. Come in. Stop, would you kindly? Would you kindly? Powerful phrase. familiar phrase?
Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find it? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch?
Sit, would you kindly? Stand, would you kindly? Run. Stop. Turn. A man chooses. A slave obeys.
What the heck? I did not see this twist coming. And oh my gosh, Andrew Ryan's pretty shiny. But that's neither here nor there. What I will say is, I guess we were kind of on the right track, but got it wrong. So we learned from Andrew Ryan that Jack, in fact, was made in Rapture. Mm-hmm. So many questions that we'll have to discuss in the last segment, but he was made in Rapture to be an assassin. We see the flashes of Jack as a baby, pretty creepy baby as well.
Oh yeah.
In the lab with the doctors, and the story of his family was kind of made up to make him feel like he was a person with this whole backstory. So then he was kind of like the sleeping assassin. He was on the plane, and I guess somehow he was ordered to actually hijack the plane. So we see a flash of memory. And when we saw Jack on the plane at the start of the game, he looks down at this box, this present that he got from his quote unquote parents. We learned that in that box, it was actually instructions to hijack the plane at a specific location when the plane reaches a specific location. And even on that letter, it said, "Would you kindly," which is the trigger word. So we know that he doesn't necessarily have to just hear it. He could also read it as well in order to be given instructions to do whoever's bidding.
Yeah.
We also then learn that I guess Atlas was the one sending Jack to Andrew Ryan to kill him because he's been using that trigger word or trigger words, "Would you kindly," with every instruction, which explains why Jack hasn't argued with Atlas. And that was one thing that we were a little frustrated about, is like, why isn't Jack actually doing the opposite? Why doesn't he have a say? Now it's explained because he's like this assassin that's very much like robotic when he hears those trigger words. My thing through all of this, with Andrew Ryan, I guess, piecing it all together as we saw leading into this confrontation, why didn't he instruct him not to kill him?
Yeah, I'm trying to piece that together. He gave us the golf club and he instructed us to kill him. And he kept talking about a man decides and the slave obeys. And was he trying to prove a point here?
Well, okay.
He basically chose to die. Why did he choose to die?
I don't know. We hear him obviously repeating this, like, you choose. Does this mean he might have had a closer relationship to Jack than we initially thought? We know that Little Sisters and potentially the Splicers in Rapture have Andrew Ryan's DNA. Was Jack potentially like also given Andrew Ryan's DNA and he's trying to see, because we've also heard Andrew Ryan talk about the chaos in Rapture, like that's the brink to the rise of Rapture. So he's just kind of waiting and see what happens. Is this his other like, let's wait and see if like this monster that has my DNA, Jack, if he actually will have like the part of me that is the man and makes the decisions and be able to override? Like, I don't know, man. That's one thing I don't understand, why he didn't just stop Jack from killing him, especially because moments before he's instructing him to sit, to get up. So he's showing that he has that control over him.
Yes. Because he swung the golf club and he kept telling him to swing the golf club.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Yeah.
So did we learn anything?
Maybe that's not truly Andrew Ryan. He has a clone. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, it could be, like, especially with all these little babies that were
so weird,
constructed in a lab. Maybe it's a fake Andrew Ryan, but obviously he keeps saying like he's not going to give Rapture up.
Yeah.
So he'd rather die than, I don't know. It's just really confusing to me. Again, a crazy scene. Like, it was just the twist here was incredible.
Yeah.
I never really saw it as a fact of Jack basically taking instructions from Atlas this entire time.
Yeah.
But crazy scene, but I really didn't understand quite why Andrew Ryan decided to die. I'm sure there's some sort of nuance here that we don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. The fact that Atlas just was not telling us who we are from the start. And speaking of Atlas, well, we hear from him.
It's time to end this little masquerade. There ain't no Atlas kid. Never was. Selling my line of work takes on a variety of aliases. Hell, once I was even a Chinaman for 6 months. But you and a sworn, so I guess I owe you a little honesty. Name's Frank Fontaine.
I gotta say, I had a lot of business partners in my life, but you, of course, the fact that you were genetically conditioned to bark like a cocker spaniel when I said, would you kindly, might have had something to do with it, but still. Now, as soon as that machine finishes processing the genetic key you just fished off Ryan, I'm gonna run Rapture tits to toes. You better, pal. You know what they say? Never mix business with friendship. Thanks for everything, kid. Don't forget to say hi to Ryan for me.
I knew I chose right when I said I would side with Fontaine because I feel like he would have the real power in Rapture, and we find out he had the real power over us because Atlas never existed. It was Fontaine all along making us help him control Rapture, and that's why he needed the genetic key. That is the thing that controls everything in Rapture, and it was coded to Andrew Ryan, but by obviously inserting it to the control room, we've now overrided, I guess, Andrew Ryan's DNA with Fontaine's DNA. And Fontaine, holy, really good. As soon as I heard Atlas come on and he's like, nice, I'm like, oh, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
This is it. We're going to find out how crazy he is.
Yeah, and then he changed his voice.
Yeah.
He went back to his like New Yorker mobster voice, but man, I did not see this coming. I remember when I first played this game, I could not believe I was so stumped. The would you kindly,
Yes.
the Fontaine, I had no idea. And normally when I go into watching a movie, playing a video game, whatever, I have some sense of an idea of what's going to happen, but this one blew its doors off. Because I did not see that coming at all. And now I feel bad for Jack, to be honest, because all he is a puppy dog.
I know.
You know, basically he's controlled by anyone who says, would you kindly, which is pretty sad. Even though we've never seen him, we've only seen his hands. He's a nice guy, at least because I always save all the little sisters. But I couldn't believe this altogether. It was crazy. But again, I knew the genetic key, though, like I said, was something other than escaping. It sounded too strange of a thing than a key to like leave the place.
Yeah, I agree. This twist, I think, is one of the best video game twists that I've ever experienced because I never saw it coming, especially now that Fontaine has used and abused us to do his bidding. He just wants us to like die and say hi to Andrew Ryan in the afterlife. So we're literally left there to die as the whole area, I guess, is about to explode. We got to talk about this whole reveal as well as some of the diaries afterwards. So would you kindly come back right after the break here on AutoSave?
Ryan nationalised Fontaine Futuristics. He owns it now, lock, stock and barrel. For the good of the city, he says. He'll break it up in due time, he says. I've resigned from the council and lodged me letter of protest, but that's just pissing in the wind. It'll be war, I say, unless somebody stops Ryan, and right fast.
So all this time, I thought Fontaine was working with Ryan before this reveal, or maybe taking a little bit of a cut from, like, everything he's doing for Ryan. But they were actually direct, I guess, enemies.
Yeah.
Because from what we're hearing from this recording, there was Fontaine Futuristics. And what happened was Andrew Ryan took control of that and kind of ousted Fontaine. So at the heart of this whole storyline between these two groups, it's a mobster storyline. That's what it is. It's a mob story.
Oh, yeah. It makes sense in terms of Rapture because the people that left for here were, you know, I think people who didn't have a chance or maybe struggled in the real world, struggled in America or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is, again, a power struggle. He's a mobster who maybe didn't have success in America, decided to move to Rapture, and now he's getting slapped in the face by Ryan again. So he's like, who is this wise guy? I'm going to do things. But
yeah,
we got to rewind it here a little bit. Like Fontaine, what?
No. We're gonna talk about it after the next one. But I just want to add something here because McDonaghan also mentions Fontaine's death because we heard Fontaine died.
Yes.
Right? So I guess he faked his own death. McDonaghan thought it was a little too convenient. So there were people in Rapture that felt like Fontaine actually didn't lose anything from his death in terms of like his setup, but I guess they didn't know Fontaine was posing as Atlas.
Yeah.
Or maybe they did. We just don't know that yet. But this is pretty much what started this war in Rapture, which is pretty insane. But we do need to break down the reveal. And I think what's going to help with that is really understanding Jack a little bit more in these audio diaries.
Did you that to your puppy? She's very pretty.
Thank you, Papa Souchon.
Break her neck for me.
What?
Break that sweet puppy's neck.
No, please.
Break that puppy's neck. Would you kindly?
No.
Very good. Advanced deployment, Lot 111, Dr. Souchon, client Fontaine Futuristics. Baby is now a year old, weighs 58 pounds, and possesses gross musculature of a fit 19-year-old. The results are disappointing, but within expected tolerances.
Now we hear Jack as a kid, and this is the scientist that is now testing the mind control elements of Jack, trying to see how far it could go. And Jack is a little kid at this point with this dog and is ordered to break the dog's neck. It was so hard to listen to this audio recording. But you hear Jack's, I think, more personality from Jack than we ever got a sense of playing as him. You hear that, like, not wanting to do it. So I guess as an assassin, he is aware when he's being told to do something he doesn't want to do, because Jack does cry right before he actually breaks the neck of the dog.
Yeah.
So I guess he, as a kid, was aware he was an assassin. So it's like, where was that point when he was like reset, like the Winter Soldier, and then sent back to Rapture? So there's a lot of unanswered questions. We also hear Souchon talk about the baby, who is Jack, and the experiments where they left off, and saying that he was kind of disappointed by the experiment. It wasn't a success. So I'm wondering now, why wasn't it a success? Is that why Jack might have left Rapture? Or maybe he was casted out of Rapture and Fontaine found him? There's a lot of unanswered questions. And I just don't get it, Nick.
So my theory is that Jack was always part of Rapture and that he was sent somewhere relatively recently.
By Andrew Ryan or by...
No, by Fontaine.
By Fontaine, okay.
I think there's an audio diary that talks about the Big Daddies when they were born. And they were born like these superhumans, 58 pounds, something like that.
Yes.
But they're not thinkers. So I'm guessing that Jack is a Big Daddy. I think he is without the suit, obviously. Because I think he's maybe not the smartest tool in the shed.
Yeah.
But again, like he obeys and he's a giant figure. That's why he always wins all these battles.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my theory, at least. He's a Big Daddy trained soldier, and then they found him or they used him, and then they hatched this whole plan that Andrew Ryan was not a part of. So he didn't understand any of this, and that's why he was trying to piece it together. And so Fontaine set this whole thing up. He faked his death.
And I guess Tannenbaum, because we, like you mentioned, we do see her in some of the flashes.
She might have known, right?
Yeah.
So Fontaine fakes his death to kind of get more power. Then he becomes this Atlas figure to kind of create this, I don't know, chaos in Rapture.
Yeah.
And then hatches this whole plan to take power. It's really intricate, but I don't know if it would have worked. It did, clearly.
And now where it leads us is, I guess, us having to firstly escape, and secondly, deal with Fontaine if we can. And
how do we do that?
How do we do that if he's just going to say, would you kindly?
Right.
I have no idea, but hopefully next episode, we'll find out more right here on AutoSave. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Nick Andrade and myself, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Zeiser. Technical production by Kevin Hilsdon. Executive producer Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now. And if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and a review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.